Now I got a closer look at Grendel before release, all thanks to Digital Extremes. And in today's video, I will be sharing my thoughts on this new insatiable frame. If you have concerns about Grendel's abilities and his usefulness in real missions, then I will try to provide all of that information in this video. Some think Grendel is just a gimmicky frame that can eat stuff, or curl into a meatball and roll around in the game, but I tell you now, this frame can do more than that. The things you've seen on DevStream are just the basic things that Grendel can do. Like for example, his first ability Feast was showcased as an ability to consume targets and store them on Grendel's gut. While holding down the ability key will vomit all stored enemies out in front of Grendel with a toxin area of effect. It may look so plain and simple, but when I was using the ability, I found out that it's more than just for eating stuff. The thing is, every enemy stored in Grendel's gut, using this ability, allows him to gain bonus armor. The more enemies you consume, the more armor you gain. But be careful though, as the more the enemies in Grendel's gut, the bigger the energy drain. Apply some survivability mod, plus other damage mitigation mod, and what do you get? A super tanky walking meatball. Not just tanky, but once Grendel has something on his gut, he is somehow immune to any knockdown effects. So probably, survivability won't be an issue with Grendel, and, take note, we are just talking about his Feast ability and its interaction to his passive ability. In addition, Feast isn't just for defense. Enemies consumed by Grendel gets damaged when other enemies hit this frame. It somehow redirects those damage to the ones that were absorbed by this frame. Those non-armored enemies consumed by Grendel will receive decent damage, but it would take some time to kill those enemies which have damage mitigation. Well, not if you activate your second ability, Nourish. Nourish tends to insta-kill your first consumed target. Armored or not, the first enemy consumed by your Nourish ability will die and turned into a radial buff. However, Nourish's main purpose is not to kill enemies, but actually to support Grendel and his allies with a team-wide buff, while being a good source to restore his lost health. There are 3 buffs that Grendel can give himself and his allies. These buffs are based on enemy type consumed, and based on the order they are added to your stomach. One is called Nourish Armor, which gives out a toxic armor that releases an area of effect toxin damage once enemies hit you. The second one is called Nourish Strike. What it does is gives your attacks additional toxin damage. The toxin damage buff is applied to both your weapons and abilities, which allows those weapons and abilities that have no toxin proc to apply and inflict this element. The last buff is called Nourish Energy. The buff is pretty straightforward. It gives out bonus energy on pickups and gains. This means that it works in energy orbs, and as well as energy regenerating mods like Energy Siphon, Rage and Hunter Adrenaline. It also works on Zenuric's Energizing Dash. Long story short, for as long as you are regenerating or gaining energy, that gets multiplied when your Nourish Energy on. Moving on, we got his Regurgitate ability. A simple, yet super fun ability to use. If you want to launch something into outer space, using only Grendel's spitting power, then this ability is perfect for you. Its damage to enemies it collides with, and on impact with terrain is pretty decent, especially if they have no damage mitigation. It deals toxin damage, which can be improved by mods and the buff coming from your Nourish Strike. However, the damage is not affected by the distance traveled by an enemy before he hits a surface, and based on my experience, I think the spitting distance is fixed, and only the radius of the toxic area of effect on contact is affected by mods. Lastly, the ability can be used freely, since it doesn't require energy to use. You only need to have a stored enemy in Grendel's gut to use as ammunition for this meatball cannon. His final ability is called Pulverize. Once activated, Grendel turns into a wrecking meatball of mayhem. In this form, Grendel damages and knocks back enemies within radius, and enemies held on his stomach will also suffer toxin damage per second while Pulverize is active and rolling. Enemies without armor will die fast from the toxic bile inside Grendel's gut, so it is wise to consume at least one nutritious unit first if you want to keep rolling as a meatball. The most fun part of this ability is its area damage, especially if used in Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, wherein there are lots of enemies to consume and roll over at the same time. He is obviously a good solo frame, since he has insane survivability. His Feast paired with his passive alone will give you enough damage mitigation to help you survive heavy hits from high-level enemies. If that's not enough, then you can activate Nourish to instantly replenish your health. while providing a team buff based on the enemy you have consumed. Clearly, there's no issue when it comes to Grendel being a tank. But what else can he do? Grendel can also be a good tactician in the field, offering both crowd control and support to allies. He can be a great tactician since he can remove enemies from play without distracting you with the unhittable mess on your screen. Or he can just store all those enemies, and vomit them into one place for easy group killing. It's like a combination of both Limbo's Banish and Stasis together with its absolute crowd control, and then some more. The team buffs are also rewarding, especially in team composition. Both Nourish Strike and Nourish Armor provides some interesting synergy with the Condition Overload mod since it offers guaranteed docks in procs to abilities and weapons. And also, just imagine how good the energy sustain of a team would be, once you proc Nourish Energy. Aside from usefulness, Grendel also offers some fun gameplay with both his Regurgitate and Pulverize abilities. I had lots of shits and giggles while spitting enemies using Regurgitate, and wrecking them while in meatball form. It was short, but fun experience playing Grendel on dev build. The new update will be out soon, or most probably, it's already out. So, be sure to check out all those new things in the game, especially the insatiable Grendel. I will release more videos about the new stuff in the game, and probably some Grendel and other frames or weapons synergies. So, be sure not to miss out on all those new uploads. Hit that like button, and then press the big red subscribe button for more. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.